Okay, hey guys, I'm out here. Got just got done putting up the Christmas lights. It's a nice sunny, clear day, even though it's cold. And I like fresh air, so I like being outside. But the reason I'm on here, I'm going to share with you a testimony uh, from a guy who comes from a different background than me, but he's essentially saying the same thing I've been saying to people for a long time. And I'm not trying to knock other people's lifestyles. If you're not a hunter, it doesn't bother me that you're not a hunter. Um, I just wish that if you don't know anything about hunting, that maybe you don't have to become a hunter, but maybe support the people that do. And the reason I say that is right now in the state of Washington and in Colorado and New Mexico, there's a mass effort that has been planned for a long time from the anti-hunting community, being backed by the Humane Society and PETA and all these other things. And they've infiltrated fish and game commissions, and they're trying to change our way of life. Now they're disguising it, with a lot of mumbo jumbo words and all these things, but you can see the writing on the wall what their aim is, especially from the people who are trying to do it because of where they came from and their backgrounds. And in Washington, just so you understand, the commission members are appointed per the governor. And who the governor appoints and why did he appoint them? Well, he appointed them because there's an agenda. And he probably appointed these people because the Humane Society and all these other people have financially contributed to his campaign and to him personally. And so he's returning the favor by forming these commission members to slowly take the rights away of the hunting public. And like I said, I don't, you know, if you don't like hunting, I think you have a Hollywood version of what hunting is. You really don't know what hunting is. And I'm not trying to be mean, but that's the only way I can explain it. Most of the hunters I know are very caring, actually are more caring about the woods than most most people, and we know a lot more about animals than a lot of people give us credit for. We're more connected, and you will hear that in this guy's testimony. So, I guess voting season just happened, but next year is a really big voting thing for Washington, and if you live in Washington, I know how the majority of the state votes, obviously by us being dominantly ruled by one party. But how's that working out for us? I mean, not just what's going on in my world, in the wildlife world, and hunting world, but how's that working, you know, with everything that's going on with the crime, the drugs, the homelessness? It's because we've been dominated by one party who's making all the rules. There's no balance. There's none. So just take that into consideration um, this next uh, election. And I know everybody on the Republican side is all for Reichert, which he'd be better than the AG who's trying to run. But I really think do your guys' work and look into Semi Bird. Really cool guy. Anyway, listen to this guy's testimony. I'm going to get off my horse. Tell me what you guys think. Um, I would really appreciate it. Have a good day, guys.
Thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Drew, and I come to you to tell me my story and my position. I'm a first generation hunter, and I'm a resident of Washington State.
Drew, could you start with telling us your full name?
Oh, yeah, Drew Cross. Sorry. Um, so I'm a first generation hunter and a resident in Washington State, and I don't fit the typical hunter mold. I didn't grow up hunting, nor was I ever exposed to hunting until just 2 years ago. But I've always been attracted to the outdoors and have been an avid hiker, climber, and I try to get out into the mountains as often as I can. I've also held various beliefs, and I've gotten curious about hunting because I began eating meat again after being vegetarian for a short time, and I wanted to take responsibility for the death that's required for me to consume that meat. I was at a crossroads. It was either hunt and take responsibility, be uncomfortable with my meat consumption, or maybe go back to vegetarian again. It's also important to mention that I'm pretty squeamish and I don't do well around blood. Well, at least I used to be. I've already had luck here in Washington, and I was able to harvest a black bear last year despite the odds. And while it wasn't anything I thought or what the animal rights activists would make it out to be, they would paint me as a murderer with no remorse, someone who delights in the death just for a trophy. And while it was exciting to have success after many days of hard work, these emotions were fleeting, and it quickly turned to a pang of guilt and remorse for the loss of that life. I'm thankful for the food it has provided and left with a somber respect for that black bear that I will never forget. With that single experience, I'm a full convert. I'm a hunter now. I'm sorry, I didn't expect to get emotional, but now I have a new appreciation for the wilderness. I don't see the woods the same way as I did before. The best way I can think to describe it is like going from black and white to color TV. I used to avoid hikes without a good view or something to see at the end. And now I'm willing to hike any trail and just wander around. I'm fine discovering what the local wildlife has been up to, looking for tracks and seeing what they're eating. And this isn't something I only do when hunting. I've also seen more wildlife in just 2 years of hunting than in over a decade of hiking in Washington. I've become much more interested in wildlife and conservation. That's why I'm here. I went from seeing one bear and a handful of other wildlife to seeing dozens of bears, elk, and deer, and sometimes getting within 100 feet of an animal. And I want to voice my strong opposition to the talks about ending predator hunting, the new draft conservation policy, and the ideologies that want to bring social sentiment and opinions into conservation. The general public aren't experts, and the commission needs to make choices that are best for the long-term benefit of wildlife and not go after some ideology. Some organizations and commissioners claim it's hunters versus the public, saying we need to be the voice for all the constituents, but that isn't accurate. Most of the public isn't involved, and you only hear the two extremes, not in the middle. The people in the middle don't show up at these meetings, and their opinion is easily swayed towards anti-hunting. But the vast majority are in support of sustainable hunting, unlike what anti-hunting groups would lead you to believe. Lastly, I want to thank all of you again, and all of the hunters here behind me who've paved the way so that I could even be here with you today. Thanks again. Thank you, commissioners.